present, women are not treated equally in society. While the disparities may be harder to see, they are certainly still there. Globally, one woman or girl is killed every 10 minutes by the hands of a close relative or a partner. That is 85,000 women and girls that were killed intentionally in the year 2023. Along with this, women still earn 20% less than men for work of equal value all around the world. Women are still being oppressed, and it's just not blatantly in your face like it used to be, which causes a lot of people to think that the discrimination no longer exists. In the previous examples, you can see that there's many different ways gender inequality is seen throughout one's life. And one thing I wanted to specifically highlight was the gender inequality between men and women's sports. I interviewed some women from the CSULB girls lacrosse team.
I feel like in high school, a lot of the boys team had like more perks than us, and a lot of the staff would go to like their games, but wouldn't really be present at ours. So I think I saw a lot in high school, like football team, even like just the lacrosse team within that. So yeah.
In high school, did you ever feel like the men's sports teams were more appreciated?
Yes, I felt like especially the football team was more overappreciated in the school, and like all the teachers and the students would go to the games, but any girls sports would not get as much representation, you know, in the schools.
Yes, in my sport of lacrosse, the weight room would get priority to the boys team instead of the women's team.
In high school, on our social media page, there's no mention of any of the softball games, and they don't promote it at all for anybody to go to it, and all the other sports, all the other boys sports get promoted, and so that's very unfortunate. And also, yeah, people always assume that softball is easier than baseball, and obviously it's not. And when we do stretches,
As you can see, many of the women felt underappreciated and undervalued in their sport, specifically in high school, and even more specifically in comparison to the football team. It's not surprising that women's sports are undervalued due to the patriarchal nature of our society, and while this is normal, it shouldn't be. This phenomenon is not just limited to these few women. Girls all over the world feel this way in their specific sports. According to the National Women's Law Center, in 2009, the Florida High School Athletics Association implemented cuts in the number of games scheduled for teams statewide, but they specifically spared the football teams from any cuts, ensuring that women's sports bear the biggest burden of these financial cuts.
How have you seen or experienced gender inequality in sports?
I think besides just people not showing up for like women's sports as much, I think there's also a lot of sexualization of women in sports, because I played volleyball in high school too, and I think that volleyball is very over-sexualized for women but not for men, especially with like the shorts, you know, and everything like that. Yeah. While men's sports are like, they're seen as tough and it's not over-sexualized, of course.
The sexualization of women is one of the biggest ways sexism reveals itself in women's sports. From the way women are presented to the uniforms they're forced to wear, sexism really shines a light on the way that women's bodies and image are being used to force them into their gender roles. In specific, the Norwegian beach handball team was not allowed to wear shorts for their uniform. Instead, they were made to wear bikini bottoms that did not help their play and instead made them feel uncomfortable. In protest, they wore shorts for a game and were fined $175 per player. This is absolutely absurd when you think of the women who are being forced to wear something that they won't perform the best in just because society wants them to look more feminine or show off their bodies, which is crazy when they're athletes. This is a clear example of the way society doesn't view women athletes as athletes, but more of women who are athletes, using their bodies advertising point rather than their amazing skill and talent. For most of history, women were expected to be homemakers, caregivers, mothers, They weren't allowed to participate in things like sports or get a job or even make a life for themselves. So while we have moved great steps into the future with more accessibility for women, it's clear that gender roles still play a huge part in every woman's life.